Hey everyone, today we're gonna go see when a master chef leaves the matrix and starts his own homestead. Stay tuned.
Well, my name's Robert Baxley. I spent 22 years in the restaurant business, the last 12 of which I own my own restaurant in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. A lot of external factors drove me out of the restaurant business. In 2008, my wife and I kind of looked around at the state of the world and realized that we needed to take more agency in our own lives and our sustainability. This 3-acre grass alfalfa pasture is kind of the engine of a lot of the production here on the homestead. I use these Jersey A2 cows to produce milk, and so they're busy transforming all of this growth into good nutrition for us here on the farm. This one I brought home in the back seat of my truck when she was a week old and raised her up from there on our other farm. And then Cinnamon is her daughter, and this Black Angus cross here is Cinnamon's daughter. That's Clover. By rotationally grazing this pasture, we're able to produce a tremendous amount of biomass, and the cows feed the soil organisms, and the soil organisms feed the grasses. One thing interesting about cows, you can see she's got a sweat that comes off of her nose. This substance actually stimulates growth in grass. So having cows on pasture, you not only get the benefit of the manure and the urine as fertility, but they're also engaged in this living biome interaction, and you get much more production than if you were to just cut it. You can see they've got alfalfa here at about 1 foot. They'll get all this trimmed down. Mixed in here are other plant varieties like this chicory, and here's a plantain. So we like to, leave a good, strong polyculture in here. The total acreage is 22 acres. A lot of it is in Beaver Marsh, as we can look at over here. Really, the defining characteristic of this little bioregion is this 12 or so acre beaver pond system. There's one family of beavers that are down there in their den at the lowest pond, and then they've terraced this into 6 or 7 different pond levels that are all spring fed down through this marsh system. I'm working on ways to utilize the duckweed as a protein source in my other animal feeds. It's about 45% protein by volume. And the nice thing about it is it reproduces very quickly. This riparian zone is just extra fecund, if you will. It's just teeming with life, producing a bunch of biomass. And so I just kind of follow the beavers' lead and try to learn from them how they're controlling water on the landscape and running their system. So this is pond level 1, the bottom of the system. There's the beaver den right there. There's a mating pair and about 2 seasons worth of their offspring with them in there. But when you think about the amount of resource in these materials, this cattail, every part is edible, but also used for thatch and weaving. We ended up coming over here to the North Fork Valley based on some prodding from Jake Tackiff up at Cedar Springs Farm. Hey bro, what would it take you to get over here to the valley? And I said, there's nothing, man. I can't picture anything. And he said, well, I think the farm next door is for sale for $200,000. I said, oh. We looked at that farm. It wasn't the right fit. And right before Jake and Megan got married, this place that we're on now popped up. It was in the price range we were looking for. When we came up for the wedding, we stopped and toured this place, and we were both convinced that this was the move to make. So this is the creek that runs through our property, and that's kind of the dream, right? To have something like this on your place. Not only do we have water rights that we use to irrigate our pasture that come out of this creek, we also have tailwater rights from the farm just upstream, and so I can make use of this water as well. This little oak forest in here is kind of remarkable because these Gamble oaks have washed down from higher up in the high country in the course of the flow of this stream. Really nice to have this nut producing crop down here in the hardwood for firewood. Just the feel of this oak forest has kind of that enchanted vibe to it. coop is constructed entirely out of pallet wood, salvaged from Cedar Springs Farm. And we have our little laying flock in here. We cut them loose in the afternoon, but leave them in during the egg laying portion in the morning. And they help with pest control around the farm. Right here, we just finished a batch of meat birds. We run 75 or so at a time. Where I'm standing is where they started. So this spot right here, 4 weeks ago, looked like this spot right here where we harvested them on Sunday. As long as I irrigated it, the grass would consume all of the nitrogen the chickens leave behind and just get lusher and lusher and lusher. In this small of a space, we're able to produce more than enough chicken for ourselves for the year. We're able to produce a chicken quality that is superior to anything you'll find out in the default economy. So that's what we get with our milk and non-GMO grain-fed pastured poultry. Every meal of its life, it was having the best cereal that you'd ever want to have. And then we process right here on farm, and Stefano, you were here helping us out. That way we can control what happens in the slaughter process. And unlike the birds that are available at the grocery store, this one was never dunked in bleach. Worth it to us just to have the finest quality for our dinner table. And so this is the house. When we first moved here, we were able to sell our previous farm and get enough equity out of that to pay for this land outright. No mortgage, no debt. And I started building this cordwood section of this building, which I intended to just be a bathhouse. As things moved along, I added this addition, and that added another 250 square foot, which gave us a dining room and a living room and an office space for me. This entire building I built for $8,000, about 550 square feet of living space. Full videos on all this on my YouTube channel. So this is dustcrete. Out the door, 1 square foot of this wall, about $1.28. This is part of what allowed me to build this house so affordably. Quite a cozy little cottage for us. My wife has her little bird sanctuary back here. All this south side glass aids in the passive solar heating of the home. And we refer to it as the aquarium because we sit here and watch all the birds and our chickens cruise by. What we realized, however, is it is actually a farmer aquarium. We're in the aquarium and all the animals are watching us, which is fine too. This is basically the living area. Just a simple little space, the vaulted ceilings and all the glass make it feel nice and open. Then this is the original section of the building here. Shower, toilet, big sink, which is nice. Good to have a nice big sink. And then my little kitchenette. So just a 30-inch surface burner and a dorm fridge and coffee maker. Enough for the two of us. Here's my wife's office. Little sleeping loft up above. I milled this blue spruce on these live edge rails. So it holds a queen size bed and a little place to store this and that. And there's a shower. And then underneath this floor, there's 6 inches of aircrete. So it's got good insulation from the ground temperature. It's just basically a little enchanted cottage in the forest. What I recommend frequently for people who want to get into it, but they're stuck, best trick, and this is something that I did, go to farmers, offer to process some of the proceeds of their farm into a value-added product in exchange for half of the result. Well, they're going to jump on it 9 times out of 10. You get to develop your recipes for whatever it is that you like to make, and you're in a win-win exchange with the producer. Maybe you can work with them in the gardens and learn how to grow plants. That's a really good first step to get into it. The grasshoppers have been a huge challenge this season. I'm going to add some turkeys to the system next year to help keep a lid on these guys, but there are some things that are doing fairly well in the garden. We basically produce all of the tomatoes that we need for salsa and marinara and barbecue sauce in this garden. I've never in my farming career achieved onion sovereignty, but that's a dream to be able to produce enough onions to provide for the menu for the entire season. My only inputs are wood chips and compost tea. I don't like to bring a lot of other things into it, just basically rely on the soil biology to feed the plants and keep everything in balance. I run sort of a chaos style garden, let a lot of things go to seed, let a lot of things naturalize, and just kind of work around them. Hey, you pigs. They're not very entertaining at the moment. So these were feeder pigs we got from Down Home Farm last fall. So they're coming up on a year old, but we have them not only because of our love of bacon, but also for the loops that they help us close on the farm. For example, when we processed all of those chickens, we were able to directly feed all of the intestines to the pigs and let them have that good meal for them and not have to deal with the composting of animal parts and that sort of thing. So handy to have for that reason. But yeah, they are in here working this land over. They were right behind me. That was the pig run, and you can see it's just exploded back. I always like to have a pig on the farm during the warm season, and then the winter time, I like to get them off the pasture into the freezer, not have to carry a boar through the winter and breeding stock, and just rely on my brothers in the valley to help out with feeder pigs when it's time. If people want to learn more about what we're doing here, you can follow me on Instagram, Radical Gastronomy. Also, radicalgastronomy.com is my blog, and there are recipes going back a decade or so on there. And then, of course, the YouTube channel, Radical Gastronomy as well. So if you want to see the techniques that I use to build this house and how we go about things on the farm, a lot more content is available over there. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel right here.